Hi, Sandra here. Today's video is kind of like an experiment. I've cut the file out. I'm not entirely sure it's going to work, so you'll find out on video whether it does or not. I mean, parts of it I know definitely work, but there's a part of it I'm not quite sure of yet, so we shall see. But I thought you might like to see the process. Okay, the card I'm talking about is this one. Now forget the front, it's not the front we are bothered with, it's the inside. Now, as you can see, this is done with a red card for the base, and then white card is used for the inside of it. And then I've decorated it with various colour papers. Now, it's not that difficult to do, but sometimes it can be a bit of a pain if you don't get it quite lined up properly in the centre, or maybe you skew it slightly. You can get into a little bit of a mess gluing things down. So I wondered whether it was easier to do it a slightly different way. Now, before I go into that particular part of it, let me show you how I cut my decor pieces. If you're going to bother to cut little decor pieces like this and you need different colours, as I do with this, different patterns or whatever, then to be quite honest, if you've got 6-inch paper or whatever it is, I think it's 15 centimetres, you may as well cut out all the pieces out of each of the papers, and I simply put them up against each other, and then I move my origin point to the corner of that one, the corner of that one, corner of that, and I just set it to repeat cut, and so it makes cutting those little bits a lot quicker, and then you can just mix and match at the end of the process. So the process I'm talking about trying out as an experiment is this one. You can see I have a piece of what is almost A4. It's not quite, because I did want to cut it on the mat and I wanted to make sure I managed to cut it out completely. So what I've done is I have put score lines in across the centres. So there is a score line down here, and I'm going to use that to simply continue along the crease here for my bits that stick out. I'm just going to reinforce that particular bit. And then I have a score line across here, obviously. And then it is supposed to fold in half like so. There we go. So that is the whole way of doing it. And all I do then is to pick up the pieces that I want to stick out and gently press the creases forward. So it's a valley fold, and basically you don't have an awful lot to do. Just bring these larger pieces through, because you only want the larger bits to come through, you don't want the little narrow strips to come in this direction. Bring those forward and press out the creases. Whoops. Do it one at a time if need be. You don't have to do them all in one go. These two are popped, so I'll do those. And now I'll just grab the middle one and crease that one. And again, do it the other way around for the other side. So I'm hoping that this will negate the need for a separate cover piece, if you like. It will be all in one. Flick that one forward a second, and there we go. You do get, yeah, that's not bad. Now what I would advise you to do is to take a glue pen, to open it up, and put glue in the areas which aren't near the cuts, and the strips that are between the boxes. Okay, now I can just about see what I'm doing, because I would need to get my head underneath the camera really to do it very well, but you get the idea. And then along here like so, and then you can do a bit of scribbling. I'm not getting much glue out of this one. At least it doesn't look like I'm getting much. I am actually, but you can't see it. So then simply fold it over and press it down well. And then you should find, oops, that one's not stuck. That one needs to be stuck that way. That you have your card basically done. Make sure you don't stick the wrong bits down. And leave it to dry open so at least you know that the bits that are supposed to be up are still free. So if you leave it to dry like that until it's set properly. And then all you have to do is to add your decor pieces. And in this particular case, I'm just going to peel them off my mat one by one as I decide what it is that I want. I'm just going to take out the inside of that bow, which is still stuck there. There we go. Now for this particular type, whoops, it's jumping around. I've got to make sure I got it around the right way because it's not actually symmetrical. I don't want it symmetrical, so it isn't perfectly symmetrical. Just make sure I have it around the right way. I think that's the right way. Yeah, that appears to be correct. And just put some glue on the back of this, or do it on the card. It probably is easier, thinking about it, to put the glue on the card and put the paper on it afterwards. But I didn't think of that at the time. I will probably actually put the glue on both because it's only a very light object and it's not got a vast amount of glue on it anyway. So I'll put the glue on both. That might make sure that any bits I've missed on this bit are at least covered when it comes to the bow being put on here. And so try and line it up. I have difficulty with this because normally I would have to stick my head right under the camera to be able to see it. So I'm just hoping that it's more or less in the right place, because I really find it rather difficult to see from here, but I don't particularly want to have to give you just a view of the top of my head. There we go. Now, particularly with the bow, make sure it's not adjoined to anything else while it dries. There we go. And we can reinforce the fact that it's got a turn. Now for some reason that bow's just a tad long, so I'm going to get a small pair of scissors and chop off the extra bit. There we go. So that's one bit done. And the boxes are really, really easy. I'm going to do the small box, I think, with the hearts. Now for this I'm going to use the zig because there's a bit more coverage. Make sure you get close to the edges because you don't want the edges lifting up. But at the same time you don't go over the edges because that will cause you problems too. You can in fact fold the paper first, fold it in half, and you'll find, unless you've got some glue on it, which I might have done, which wouldn't be so clever. Which bit have I got undo? Oh, it's that bit that undoes. That it does actually help you to get it in the right place. So I think that's where it's supposed to be, like so. There we go. I am going to have the bright red for the middle one. Again, fold it in half to give myself a middle line, and just to rest it on that while I stick it. It's just a bit of a guide. No, that didn't work, did I? I've got that well and truly in the wrong place. But luckily zig is repositionable while it's still wet. So, that one down there. And this is going to be for my lower one. You have to forgive me if I haven't got it quite in the right place, but as I said, with my eyesight, I need to be right over it. So all these have got their creases in still. There we go. And then the final touch is to add the lids. And I chose to go with contrasting colours for the lid. Make sure you don't go over the top of your design. Oops, didn't get it back far enough. You don't want to stick it to the back of the card. Okay. And for the middle one, I get off the mat. Come off. That's the middle one. Yeah, that's the middle one. So I'm just going to put my glue up here. Just as easy to do it that way. And the final one is going to be a strip of the hearts going on this box. Who says you can't mix patterns, hey? There we go. So that is the finished, whoops, at least it would be if that was still stuck down. Okay, let's put some more glue on here. There we go. If you find the pieces are just a little bit too long, then you can simply trim a little bit off. And like so. So there we are. There's the inside. Sorry, I was out of camera. There's the inside of the card and there's the outside. And of course this bit you would decorate with your panel of whatever it is that you choose to use. Now bear in mind, you can only do it this way if you're using a relatively lightweight card. If you're using a really heavy card like this one here, you would have to do it in the two separate pieces. You wouldn't be able to do the fold. But if you just want a quick card for someone, that is now stuck down, so that's okay. If you just want a quick card for someone, then that is a relatively easy one to do. And you know, if you've got your inside done, just make a quick panel to go on the front. And it does mean that you can't actually mess up the lining up of all your pieces in the same way that you can if you have two separate pieces to glue together. It's automatically going to be centered and it's going to be in the right place. So there we go. Okay, I hope you enjoyed that, found it useful. I will post a link to the files. It will be in SVG format and Sure Cuts a Lot format. Thanks for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.